Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Saturday, September 23rd, 2023. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my $19 rundown best bet, you can find those at the premium picks tab at pickdawgz.com. Alrighty, let's get into it. Here are the games for Saturday in Major League Baseball. Next up, the Atlanta Braves taking on the Washington Nationals. Kyle Wright and Yohan Adon are your starters. Can't back the Nationals in this game with Adon pitching at Nationals Park. I know it's a small sample size, but in the 25 innings of work at home for Adon, he's got an ERA above 8 at 8.28, and an opponent's batting average above 300. 10 walks allowed and 5 home runs given up as well. You're facing the toughest lineup in baseball, and I think the Braves get to him early and often. Kyle Wright, not my favorite starting pitcher to back, that's for sure, and he's not in great form. This Nationals lineup has not been great against righties in the last month. I think Wright's good enough here for a Braves win and run line cover. You can lean towards the over as well. I do expect a pretty high-scoring game, but give me the Braves laying the 1.5 runs. Next up, we see the Los Angeles Angels taking on the Minnesota Twins. Kenny Rosenberg and Sonny Gray are your starters. Give me the Twins in this game on the run line. Sonny Gray is in great form, giving up 3 earned runs or fewer in each of his last 5 starts. And even though he's not been the most profitable pitcher in the league this year, it's really not his fault. I mean, he's pitching well. The Twins' lineup doesn't always back him up, or the bullpen blows the game. But in this matchup against Rosenberg, who's got an ERA above 5 and an Angels bullpen that we know has struggled all season long, I think the Twins will be fine in this game. Los Angeles' offensive numbers are also not great in the last month against righties, against lefties. Give me the Twins here laying the 1.5 runs on the run line. Next up, the Colorado Rockies taking on the Chicago Cubs. Chris Flexen and Jordan Wicks are your starters. Jordan Wicks pitching well this season with a 3-1 record and a 2.67 ERA. He faced these Rockies back on September 11th, had a quality start in that game, 6 innings of 1-run ball, and that was a Cubs victory, and the Cubs are now 4-1 in his last 5 starts, including 3 run line covers. Chris Flexen actually pitched pretty well against Chicago himself on September 12th. It was a 6-4 Rockies win at Coors Field. He went 5 1/3 innings, giving up only 3 runs, but he gave up 9 base hits in that game. And actually, Flexen's been worse on the road this season with an ERA above 9 and 9.45 compared to an ERA at Coors Field. That actually isn't too bad. Give me the Chicago Cubs here on the run line. The Rockies don't hit lefties well. They don't have great numbers offensively on the road in general this season. Give me the Cubs laying the 1.5 runs. Next up, it's the New York Mets taking on the Philadelphia Phillies. Jose Quintana and Zach Wheeler are your starters. I like the Phillies in this game on the run line. Quintana's last start against the Reds gave up a lot of base runners, 8 base hits in that game, a home run, only 2 strikeouts in 6 2/3 innings. I know the Mets got the W in the end, but facing this Phillies lineup, it's crushing lefties in the last month. I don't think this is a good spot for Quintana. On the other side, Zach Wheeler's coming off a really good outing against the Atlanta Braves, and he struggled against Atlanta the previous outing on September 12th. He gave up 6 runs and 3 home runs, but he bounced back the next game at Truist Park, 6 innings of 1-run ball with 5 strikeouts and a 7-1 Phillies win. I think Wheeler's the much better option on the mound in this game. I think the Phillies have the better bullpen and lineup, so give me the Phillies laying the 1.5 runs. Next up, we see the Detroit Tigers taking on the Oakland Athletics. No official starter for Detroit, but Joe Boyle should be going for Oakland. He pitched well his only start this season, 3 innings of shutout ball, only 1 base hit with 4 strikeouts. But still, that was a 10-1 A's loss, and it just goes to show you, this has been one of the worst teams in baseball all year, but they could be playing their worst baseball of the year right now as they got swept by the Padres, swept by the Mariners, both of those series at home. They lose the first game of this series to Detroit 7-3, and they've lost 7 straight games, actually 8 straight games by the run line going into Friday night's game. So this team is not only losing, but they're losing by 3, 4+ runs every night. Give me the Detroit Tigers on the money line, and might as well lay a little bit on the run line as well. Next up, we see the Chicago White Sox taking on the Boston Red Sox. Dylan Cease and Nick Pivetta are your starters. Give me the Red Sox in this game. Dylan Cease has not pitched well on the road this season. He gives up a lot of sharp contact, and that's an issue at Fenway Park, very hitter-friendly ballpark, against a good lineup against righties like the Red Sox are. Nick Pivetta is actually pitching pretty well as of late. We've seen him give up 3 earned runs or fewer each of his last 4 starts. Good strikeout numbers from Pivetta, and we know in his career he's had issues giving up the home run ball, but only 1 home run in his last 2 starts, and I think he's honestly pitching pretty well for Boston. So I'm going to take the Red Sox here on the money line. The Arizona Diamondbacks taking on the New York Yankees. Zach Davies and Carlos Rodon are the projected starters. When I looked at the projected starters in this series, this was the game that I thought would be the best chance for the Yankees to grab a W in. And I think Carlos Rodon's pitching his best baseball right now and of the season. It's been an overall struggle for him and disappointment for Yankee fans. But his last two games, 11 and 2/3 innings, 4 runs, not too shabby, with 19 strikeouts to go with it. So missing some bats there. The control's always a concern with Rodon. He's given up a lot of sharp contact, but you're facing a Diamondbacks team that in the last month does not hit lefties very well, and overall this season not hit lefties very well. So I think Rodon pitches pretty well in this game. And Zach Davies, even though he has a good matchup against a weak Yankees lineup right now, he still has an ERA above 6 on the season, 6.81. He's given up a lot of sharp contact. The control's been off. He doesn't pitch deep into ball games. 3 innings, 4 innings, and then 4 innings his last 3 starts. He's given up a lot of walks, a lot of base runners, and I do think the Yankees will be able to get to him. So I'm going to lean towards the Yankees here on the money line in this one. Next up, the Milwaukee Brewers taking on the Miami Marlins. Brandon Woodruff and Jesus Luzardo are your starters. As much as it may be tempting to take the Marlins in this game as the home team, I just can't get there with Miami, as Jesus Luzardo just struggled against these Brewers back on September 11th. He went 5 innings, 10 base hits, 6 earned runs, and a home run in a 12-0 blowout win for Milwaukee. And Brandon Woodruff's been one of the better pitchers in the second half of the year. 5-1 record with a 1.89 ERA, ton of strikeouts, 68 Ks in 62 innings. He's keeping the ball on the ground. His control's been really good. Only 1 walk in his last 2 starts combined. Give me the Brewers here on the money line. Next up, we see the Toronto Blue Jays taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. We see Hyun-Jin Ryu and Zach Littell as your starters. I know Zach Littell's been better on the road this season, but his last start at Tropicana Field back on September 7th against a very good Mariners lineup could have been one of his best starts of his career. It was 8 innings of work of 1-run baseball, and the Rays didn't back him up offensively in that one, but I think they will here. Ryu's got not the best expected numbers, and the Rays have really good numbers against lefties in the last month offensively. Give me Tampa Bay here on the money line. Next up, the Baltimore Orioles taking on the Cleveland Guardians. John Means and Cal Quantrill are your starters. John Means off to a decent start to his season. 10 innings of work, 2 strikeouts is the concern for me. Not really missing a lot of bats, but a 3.6 ERA. We know Means is a pitch-to-contact guy to begin with, but still like to see him miss some more bats going forward. But against this Guardians team, we talked about it all season. They have struggled against left-handed pitching. They were no hit by Framber Valdez earlier in the year, and I think Means pitches well in this game. And he was good enough for the Astros, or for the Orioles, to go on to beat the Astros in his last game. And Cal Quantrill's pitching better as of late, but I still don't trust him. He doesn't miss a lot of bats to begin with, and the Orioles have the much better lineup in this game, the much better bullpen as well. Give me the Orioles on the money line. Next up, we see the Cincinnati Reds taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates. No official starter for Pittsburgh, but Connor Phillips should be going for Cincinnati. Now, the Reds are 3-0 in Phillips' first 3 starts, but he's got an ERA of 5.74. The expected numbers aren't the best either, with a FIP above 6. And, he's got 17 strikeouts and 15 2/3 innings, but the control is off. 7 walks and 5 home runs given up. And I think the Pirates, in the last month and then really in the second half of the season in general, this has been a solid lineup against right-handed pitching. They're top 15 in OPS, top 15 in isolated power. Strikeout rates decreasing a bit, 22.2%, not too bad. I think there's value taking Pittsburgh in this game. Take a shot with them. They played the role of spoiler before. Earlier in the, not too long ago against the Brewers at PNC Park, they took 2 of the 3 games in that series. And then against the Chicago Cubs last series at Wrigley Field, they took 2 or 3 there. They're scoring a lot of runs, so maybe take a look at the over as well. But give me Pittsburgh on the money line. Next up, we see the Seattle Mariners taking on the Texas Rangers. Logan Gilbert and Jordan Montgomery are your starters. I'm not sure why, but Logan Gilbert's just been better on the road this year compared to his starts at T-Mobile Park. Now, the opponent's batting average is lower at T-Mobile, but he's at a 4.18 ERA there, and he's given up 16 home runs in 84 innings. He's pitched 11 more innings on the road this season and has 5 fewer home runs given up on the road with that solid 3.41 ERA. Also 95 strikeouts in those 95 innings of work. I think Gilbert pitches pretty well in this game. I think he bounces back from a rough, couple of outings where he gave up those 4 home runs against the Angels and Dodgers. And the Mariners have been solid against left-handed pitching. I think they'll be able to get to Jordan Montgomery for a few runs. But even if this game is a close game late, that's where I think Seattle has the biggest advantage in this game and in the series is the bullpen. The bullpen's been one of the best in the American League, while the Rangers, we know, has struggled in the second half of the year in their bullpen. So give me the Seattle Mariners on the money line. Next up, the Kansas City Royals taking on the Houston Astros. Jordan Lyles and JP France are the projected starters, but there is no official lineup for this game, so we could see a pitching change. Now, we saw both of these pitchers face the opposition in their last starts. Lyles, in 6 innings of work against Houston, gave up 6 base hits, 4 earned runs, and 2 home runs in a 7-1 Astros win. JP France also struggled against the Royals in his last game. That was that 10-8 Royals win. He was 4 1/3 innings, 5 base hits, 5 earned runs, and 4 walks. Now, we saw France struggle similarly to the Boston Red Sox back on August 24th. He gave up 10 earned runs in that game. Then he had to face the Red Sox again his next start at Fenway Park, and he actually bounced back and pitched well, 5 2/3 innings, 2 runs. Maybe we see the same kind of thing here, but JP France has actually been better on the road this year, an ERA above 4.5 at Minute Maid Park, and the Royals do have a pretty good lineup against righties in the second half, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him get to him again. And Jordan Lyles, we know he's used to giving up a lot of runs this season, an ERA above 7.7 on the road this year with a 2-9 record. I think we see another high-scoring game. I'm going to lean towards the over and the Astros in this one. Next up, we see the St. Louis Cardinals taking on the San Diego Padres. Now, originally, it looked like Jake Woodford was the projected starter, but don't see him listed anymore, so we'll have to see who St. Louis goes with. But Nick Martinez should be going for San Diego. Not the biggest fan of Nick Martinez's game, but I do think he's better as a starting pitcher, and we've seen that last game against the A's. 3 innings of 5 strikeout ball, only 1 base hit, and no earned runs. Overall this year, he's got decent numbers when you look at the ERA and the expected numbers. It just seems like in the big moments, Martinez did struggle out of the bullpen. In this spot, I think he'll be good enough. I think the Padres bats will be able to back him up. I really like the Padres when they were facing Jake Woodford, who doesn't have the best numbers either, and the expected numbers aren't really there to help him out. But we'll have to see who the official starter is. I'll lean towards San Diego. And your final game for Saturday's card in Major League Baseball, the San Francisco Giants take it on the Los Angeles Dodgers. Giants just haven't been good enough on the road for me to take a chance here. They're 12 games under 500 away from Oracle Park going into Friday night's game. And Clayton Kershaw, a lefty, pitching well this season. Doesn't really pitch deep into ball games, but he's got a really good bullpen behind him, and he's also pitching so well at Dodger Stadium. 6-1 record with a 1.73 ERA and 52 innings at home. 59 strikeouts along the way. He's in his age 35 season. He's having one of his best years in a while. And the Giants have not hit lefties well this season. In the last month, that's included. Give me the Los Angeles Dodgers, land the 1.5 runs. And that's it. Those are the games for Saturday in baseball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comment section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.